the President of Mozambique, Felipe Nyusi. You're watching The Point with me, Lu Xing. Coming up after a short break, I'll show you an exclusive interview I did with the President of Portugal to find out his country's perspective on the Belt and Road Initiative. Stay with us. Chinese President Xi Jinping delivered a keynote speech at the just concluded Second Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation, which has drawn the attention of politicians, scholars, media and entrepreneurs from around the world. Beyond the messages that President Xi described to boost the Belt and Road Initiative and promote the world economy, he also responded to Western skepticism of China's so-called strategic intentions behind the landmark infrastructure connectivity project. Yet, do all foreign participants share the same concerns? How do they plan to move forward after the forum? Earlier, I sat down with Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, the President of Portugal, for a Portuguese perspective. I started by asking him his impression of the Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation itself.
At the forum, I would quote this. First of all, President Xi's speech. It was a very important speech because President Xi answered many of those that criticized China not for the forum but for the Belt and Road Initiative, saying, of course, it's useful to help sustainable development, but is it really sustainable? Isn't it a way of enlarging the strategic power of China? Isn't it a danger for the financial situation of poorer countries or undeveloped countries? Isn't it a way of not respecting competition and fair trade? Isn't it, in a way, a kind of hidden protectionism?
Did you also have these questions?
No. No.
But
no,
did he answer?
No, I didn't have those questions because we Portuguese, we know the Chinese for 100 years. So, no surprise at all. No surprise for us, no surprise for you. You know us for 100 years, and we do know China for 100 years. But President Xi gave the answer, said, we want a fair trade. We want to respect the rules, international law, the rules of World Trade Organization. We want transparent trade. We don't want protectionism. We want more sustainable development. We want it clear and green and transparent. And in a way, this was very important because in the forum, not mentioning in detail what happened there because it's private in a way, it's among heads of state and heads of government. But it was curious to see, I would say, one or two or three observers that could intervene at lunchtime, or you could tell guest speakers that intervened there, saying, we appreciate it very much, your speech, President, because it means that we do agree. And this meant that the European Union is agreeing with China concerning those principles and values. That even other Asian countries that sometimes seen from far away were considered to be in a different position from the position of China, spoke of dialogue, spoke of cooperation, spoke of a shared future. So, in a sense, this is very meaningful because looking around, you had there around 60% of world population, or even more, 65%. You had there 60% of gross product of the world. You have there, I would say 50%, almost 60% of the wealthiness in the sense of those realities that are considered to be the symbol of wealthiness.
Do you think the Chinese are listening? Do you think what these people, what they say today, said earlier, will be heard by the Chinese authority in carrying out the Belt and Road Initiative in the future? And if you could you share with us a little bit what you said to the Chinese and to your international counterparts?
There. What I said is very simple to say. It is public, will be publicized. I spoke on a specific subject, which is the one of climate change, which is for me, perhaps, the most important challenge today. Even more important than sustainable development, because there is no sustainable development without facing that challenge. And I supported the position of the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who says that everybody agrees, or almost everybody agrees, when speaking of climate change, but then there is a lack of decision, of political decision, of political will, and of results. There was the agreement signed in Paris, but then you look at it, look at the implementation of this agreement, and for us Portuguese, we do consider it's vital to have in 2050 a zero situation concerning the carbon production and pollution. And this means we must really have a real progress. And looking at what has been done in these few years, it's not enough. It's not enough.
Why?
And that's why the Secretary General of the United Nations decided to convoke a global meeting during the General Assembly of the United Nations, because he feels we are not really facing the problem.
Why are you talking?
Why?
I mean, why are you talking about it here, under the Belt and Road Initiative umbrella?
Because it is one of the three main subjects of this forum. The one was a political one. How shall we cooperate? The second one was concerning interconnectivity, which is vital. The digital, but also the flights, the roads, the harbors, and so on, and so on, and so on. And then the third one is climate change. Without facing that problem, we won't be able to meet the priority of a sustainable development. And I said it here because we need more multilateralism and not protectionism. We need to have political dialogue and not monologue.
No.
We need to have people understanding each other. And when I mean people, I mean states, and I mean powers. And so I had to say it. And I was very much at ease, because everybody knows that Portugal belongs to the European Union, and that's also the European Union's point of view. It belongs to the community of the Portuguese-speaking countries, and that's also the position of that community. But at the same time, that Portugal is a close and friendly ally of the United States of America, but at the same time knows that it's not a problem of partnership with China, it is a worldwide problem, the one of climate change. And we do say it, in spite of knowing that sometimes our thought is not necessarily the thought of everyone that is our friend or that is our ally.
But will there be concrete actions, or are you just going there and make some speeches and then, okay, bye-bye, we meet next time?
I'll just give you an example. We Portuguese, we have half of our electricity that comes from the renewables. Half of it. We are number 3 in the European Union.
But what does
and we have done it in 10 years.
What does it have to do with the
Or perhaps less than 10 years.
Belt and Road Initiative?
Well, you must invest in renewables. You must really make partnerships with the academic. You must include the private sector. You must create stimulus.
Are these going to be done?
New sources of energy.
Yes.
And this is possible. It is a matter of states. It's a matter of cooperation among states, but it's also a matter of private sector and of the universities and of the research centers, all coming together to meet this priority.
You think it can be done under this initiative?
It must be done.
You think
it must be done.
You have the confidence that this initiative will promote such actions?
It must be done. And I say the same concerning interconnectivity. We must create conditions for better connections between different countries in Asia, of course, but also concerning Europe and Asia, and Europe and Africa, inside Africa, and also with America, Latin America, Central America, North America. The world will be an interconnected world. It is already. And when I speak of interconnections, I speak of the digital. Just think that the younger generations consider this as something that is obvious.
Yeah.
For countries like European countries that are really getting old, after all, this is sometimes a problem for older generations. But for countries like China, like most Asian countries, most African countries, most American countries that are young countries, that is obvious. It is obvious that the world is that way and should be that way in the future.